All right, let's dive in with Douzable and B-Mac. Bryant McFadden, the two-time champ here as well. Gentlemen, wow. I mean, I don't know how we dig into this one or where we start. I got some questions. And first off here, Lige, I'm going to go to you. Where was this game won and lost? At halftime, where was the biggest difference? What did you see different?
Well, to me, it was the Minnesota Vikings defense. It's been much maligned this year, but holding the Colts to 5 field goals, that was the difference in this game, right? So many turnovers, right? They also get a special teams turnover for a touchdown. But other than that, this Minnesota Vikings team defense, who has struggled throughout the year, they held it down, right? Again, holding them to 5 field goals was the difference in winning and losing this game. Because in those situations, if they give up scores instead of field goal attempts, they lose this game outright. The offense finally started getting going in the second half. Kirk Cousins was masterful. Now, those 2 interceptions, I don't even blame Kirk Cousins. I think that was, some miscommunication with Jalen Reagor. One, he broke inside, Kirk threw it outside, and the other one, Jalen Reagor just simply stopped running, and Kirk was throwing the post corner route to him. So kudos to this Vikings team with the adversity they went through. Down 33-0 at half. Wow. But the defense, man, the defense standing up tall when they needed them the most was the difference in this game.
Yeah, don't let that 36 fool you, as there were special teams touchdowns, a pick six. Those don't go against that Vikings defense that stood tall here, B-Mac. Your initial reaction to history here on Saturday is what?
Wow. Wow, that's my initial reaction. Leger was dead on. And when you talk about the first half woes for the Minnesota Vikings, remember, they went down halftime, down 30 points. But Indianapolis only scored 1 offensive touchdown. The field goals their defense was able to force the Colts to settle with was the difference maker. And then in the second half, we just saw horrible play from the Colts and just sound great execution from Captain Kirk. He wasn't Clark Kent today. He was a superhero. And you talked about the 2 interceptions. No question. I don't put Kirk Cousins in. That's not his fault. I don't put him at fault of those interceptions. But what he did was he kept his composure. The entire team, they kept their composure and found a way to fight back in this ball game in arguably the most entertaining game this season. And get this, guys, I felt like when they came back against the Buffalo Bills, right? That game, the back and forth affair, was the most entertaining game this season. But they were able to one-up that performance in today's matchup and doing something we never seen before in the game of football.
A 33-point comeback, the largest ever in NFL history. And it's that time of season, guys, where we're taking results and we're projecting them forward because, as B-Mac likes to say, they punch their ticket, they're in the tournament. When we look at this Minnesota team right now, yes, they just completed the comeback and they've showed that they can do that, but to have to make that comeback, you got to go down 33-0. Like, where's your concern level with Minnesota? Because it's a team that we keep an eyebrow raised on when it comes playoff time.
Moose, this is who they've been the whole season. They're the cardiac Vikings, right? They're battle-tested. B-Mac, you brought up the Buffalo game, right? This is a team that was down big in that game and made a second-half push. Down 33-0. Most teams would have shut it down. This team believed. That defense played really well. Again, holding them to 5 field goals and not giving up touchdowns in the red zone is what kept them in this game. We knew this offense would eventually get clicking. I didn't think it was going to be clicking like that in the second half. But, I mean, Dalvin Cook, what a show of adversity, right? You fumble 2 weeks in a row right before the red zone and take points away from your team. You come back in the fourth quarter, spring a screen pass. Right here, you see it. I got reservations for 6 for the end zone. You know what? I don't need no blocking. I'll do it myself. Cut back left. Nah, I'm getting in the end zone. There's no way you're stopping me. Grit, determination by this team. You have to love what Kevin O'Connell has this team really believe in. Again, defense been much maligned this year, but they played really well today.
Yeah, one thing about this Vikings team, say what you want to say about them in regards to their record and not being dominant in all their victories. No lead is safe against this group. This group never faltered in regards to putting their heads down and saying, you know what, let's get ready for this next week's ball game. Let's chalk this up as an L. They fought for a half. And I understand the Colts, they're a bad team, but I can care less. Anytime you're down that amount of points in the National Football League, and you find a way to fight back, you got something rolling. And one thing I can tell you about Kirk Cousins, listen, I know he's probably one of the more criticized, successful quarterbacks in the National Football League. But he earned a lot of stripes today. And Justin Jefferson, listen, back and forth about who's the best wide receiver in the game, this guy, that guy, quality sound debates, quality sound wide receivers that we can put in that argument. But that man, he is a special, gifted receiver. He put the team on his back, came up with huge plays. Leger, you talked about Dalvin Cook. That screen pass to the house was huge. It was a total team effort for the Minnesota Vikings. And we don't know exactly what they will do when they get into the tournament. But I can tell you this much. Just having a seat, you have a chance.
And they do it to a coach named Saturday on a Saturday. A footnote to what is history here on Saturday. B-Mac, you got an inside track to the information coming out of that Minnesota locker room right now and all season long. And, you know, before the year, you put the list up, long-term goals, team and personal on the locker. P2 just checked one of those long-term goals here for the team. What does this moment mean for Minnesota, who came into the year playing second fiddle to a Green Bay team that we thought was going to be a constant, yet here's Minnesota with the hats and the T-shirts in this very moment?
I think understanding and knowing what they were able to achieve, not in today's matchup, but the entire season, clearly boosts their confidence, right? The Green Bay Packers, they've owned the black and blue division. And you know firsthand, Joe, you're a Chicago Bears fan. So you know this has been the Packers, Aaron Rodgers division. Being able to find a way to not just win this division, but dominate this division by a landslide boosts their confidence. Then seeing what they did today, at home, being down 30-plus points at halftime. I literally thought my ticket was dead. I have a parlay involving the Minnesota Vikings. I literally thought it was disco dead. I gave up hope. But those guys in uniform, coaches on the sideline, did not give up hope. So, man, this game feels bigger than just one win if you look at what they had to do to achieve that win. So anything is possible. I understand you look at teams in the NFC, you won't have the Vikings in the top two, might not have them in the top three. But just seeing how battle-tested they've been, all the adversity they've been able to face in a one-game elimination type deal, and not to mention you get one game at home, man, who knows what can happen with, as Leger said, the cardiac bites.
That is right, and I think that you can pass around a lot of the blame in the first half, and then a lot of the credit here in the second half. But coaching has to be a big part of this equation. To be down 33 and talk to a team at halftime, and I know Jeff Saturday, an easy punchline here on Saturday, but Kevin O'Connell, a rookie head coach, to get his team to do this in this moment, Leger, I mean, are we making a big enough deal about the job he's done this season?
Not at all. This is a first-year head coach, and he has his team winning this division. You talked about it, Moose, right? This division has been owned by the Green Bay Packers. Now, I personally picked the Vikings to win this division in the beginning of the year just because I knew Kevin O'Connell coming over from L.A. with Sean McVay, and then what they've added on defense. I think adding Zadarius Smith has really changed the attitude of this defense. Now, again, they've struggled most of this year for the last 4 or 5 games, but they showed up big today. And Kevin O'Connell, you could tell his attitude and reflection of his attitude is really worn off on the team. This team was bad on defense last year, and they've struggled these last couple games, but they've taken the attitude as long as we have an opportunity to go out there and play and make some stops, we have a chance to win games. And again, down 33-0, most teams would have shut it down. That's, you have to give a kudos to the head coach for keeping this team together, knowing that they still had an opportunity to win this game.
Yeah, impressive stuff here out of Kevin O'Connell in his first go-around as a head coach. Fantasy playoffs, more places than not, B-Mac. And we got to take a temperature here because I know you always got one eye on the CBS Sports app checking your fantasy. Jonathan Taylor out after just one touch in this game, and I'm sure some fantasy fates relied on that one here. Do you see this game going any differently? I know it's hard to unwind all the cords that we just went through here over 60-plus minutes of football, but is this game any different if Jonathan Taylor's a part of it?
You would hope not. We know what type of difference maker he has been for the Colts organization, especially this year. Got up to a slow start. There were some injuries, but over the last few weeks, he's been very, very productive. Having that type of lead and knowing that you have to run the football, you like your chances with Jonathan Taylor in the lineup. And not having Jonathan Taylor in the lineup, granted, Zach Moss came in and provided a physical element in running the football, but he's no 28. He's no JT. So not having him there clearly hurt their chances. But, Joe, listen, no excuses. You got a 30-point lead and 2 quarters of play is only left to be played. You have to win this ball game. There's a reason why this was the largest comeback victory in the game in the NFL history, because no one can do it. It's hard. Regardless who you have in the lineup, no one can do it. Usually it doesn't happen. So no Jonathan Taylor, you have to like their chances, finding a way to seal the deal. But even without Jonathan Taylor, I don't care if you got B-Mac in the backfield as your running back. I got to find a way to lean for it to get some positive yards. not to mention you still have the clock on your side as well. So it wasn't just having the scoreboard on your side. You had the clock. A ultimate letdown. But like I said, my parlay ticket is still alive.
Yeah, B-Mac, I don't know if Jonathan Taylor playing in this game would have made a difference. Now, I think it makes a difference for Matt Ryan, right? Because that's his safety blanket. We saw the clip right there when he got hurt. He was throwing the ball to him on the side, and that's where Jonathan Taylor can help you on certain third down situations. Now, Zach Moss and Jackson ran the ball with purpose today, and they ran a physical brand of football. But like you said, B-Mac, when you're up 33-0, it shouldn't matter who's in the backfield. You should be able to run some clock off and win that game. But the Colts decided to cope and lose this game. And again, Jonathan Taylor, difference maker. Of course, we know what he's meant to this Colts team. And he was on a streak where he was playing really well these last couple games. But there's no excuse if you're the Indianapolis Colts. There's no way you're up 33-0 and you lose a football game.
And as you just saw, Matt Ryan, now the not-so-proud owner of both the largest comeback loss in NFL history and the largest comeback Super Bowl loss in NFL history. It's a 10-0 record now in one-possession games for these Minnesota Vikings. So getting it done in these tight ball games. We're going to take a look now at the NFC playoff picture because the ticket has been punched, and they're currently sitting on the 2 line. They're the only NFC team playing here on Saturday, so this is how the standings will look heading into Sunday's action. It's the Vikings on the 2 line. Only a game and a half. You got the game in the loss column there off the Eagles, who don't look like they're going to be slowing down. They have, as B-Mac mentioned, my Bears should be 13-1 coming out of this week. But the Niners are alive and well there at 10-4, guys. Just as this picture starts to galvanize, Ligia, I'll go to you first here. And you project the Vikings against, let's say, the Niners, the Eagles, and whoever else is going to make some noise, maybe the Cowboys out of the wild card. How live are those chances there on the 2 line?
To B-Mac's point, right, these are the cardiac Vikings, and they're battle-tested in one-score games. And, you know, in the tournament, it's winner-take-all, one game at a time. So you like their chances. The only thing is, when you look at the 49ers and Eagles and the Cowboys, their defense is kind of separates everybody the Vikings have come back and won games on. Like, the Colts actually played pretty good on defense, but the last 2 weeks, they've struggled in the second half on defense. So if you look at the Minnesota Vikings, you love the offensive weapons they have. Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, even KJ Osborne was big for them today. Captain Kirk is a guy that knows how to run this offense very efficiently. And on defense, they had been getting turnovers, but they've struggled the last few weeks. They got back to playing Viking-type football today, bowling up in the red zone and holding teams to field goals instead of giving up touchdowns. You like their chances, but if I'm picking, I'll definitely take the 49ers or Eagles over them in a winner-take-all game.
I agree with you with the number 1 team. Fly, Eagles, fly, right? The best record. They've been so super dominant. Jalen Hurts has been balling MVP-like numbers. But in regards to the San Francisco 49ers and the Minnesota Vikings, I think this is a fair back and forth in regards to who you like best, right? Now, granted, the thing that keeps the San Francisco 49ers in that top 2 conversation is solely their defense. Of course, Kyle Shanahan, the way he calls plays, Christian McCaffrey, the offensive line play, no Deebo Samuel, but yet and still they've been super efficient because Kyle Shanahan has been able to put his young quarterback in the best possible positions to succeed. But that's the concern. Because one thing I know about the Minnesota Vikings, yes, you might not trust their defense just as much as you trust a 2-year-old by the cookie jar. But you love their offense. So if there's a close ball game and all the marbles, they're in the middle of the table, who do you believe in more? Offensively, Captain Kirk, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Osborne, or Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. So I think you know what?
I see where you're going.
I like the 49ers.
I'm taking the Vikings number 2.
I see where you're going.
You know what? No, you know what? I want to stir it up. I want to stir up some mess. I'm cooking gumbo. Let me stir up something in the pot. I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings because if it's a close ball game and I need a score to win, I've seen Captain Kirk with all the ice around his neck do it over and over and over again. Not to mention he has playoff experience. So I like Minnesota in the 2 spot. And you guys might say, well, your cousin played for the Vikings. I'm biased. So what? I embrace it. But what my eyes have seen, I got a legit argument.
Tomorrow's games will be played tomorrow. On this day, they celebrate. NFC North champions for the first time since 2017. Gentlemen, great work as always. And there will be a further conversation to be had with P2 and B-Mac on all things covered. Our guys sitting down with some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment. And it's playoff time, just about to be. P2 with a head of steam going to have something to say this week on all things covered.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.